to shed more light on the issue, we are very much delighted to be joined over the phone by Dr. Amr Hamid, our Professor of Economics. Dr. Hamid, thank you for joining us.
Pleasure.
Thank you, sir. Doctor, Japan is one of Egypt's most important Asian development partners, as bilateral cooperation between both countries includes more than 18 projects. What's your take on that, Doctor?
Of course, yeah, Japan is a key development partner for Egypt, with cooperation, as you just mentioned, extending to over 18 projects in various sectors. Analyzing this relationship involves several dimensions. Number one, the strategic importance, especially that Japan is among the biggest, if I may say, 3 or 4 economic powers worldwide. So Japan's involvement with Egypt reflects Egypt's strategic pivot towards diversifying its international partnerships beyond Western donors and Gulf allies, namely, of course, Asia. Second is the sectoral focus, because Japan's cooperation includes infrastructure, energy, education, of course, notably the Egypt-Japan Education Partnership, healthcare, of course, and technology, which is contributing to Egypt's sustainable development goals. Of equal importance, number 3 is the financial and technical support, because Japan provides Egypt with concessional loans, grants, and technical assistance, reinforcing long-term economic and social development. We should also mention number 4, political and diplomatic relations. The strong economic ties enhance diplomatic relations, positioning Egypt as a regional hub for Japanese investment, not only in the Middle East, but in Africa as well. And last but not least, the challenges and opportunities, because while Japanese investments bring advanced technology and expertise, Egypt must ensure efficient project implementation and address bureaucratic hurdles to maximize the benefits.
Dr. Minister of Planning, Dr. Rania Al-Mashat, reviewed the role played by the Bank of Japan in financing the private sector project in Egypt and boosting the Egyptian-Japanese partnership. What is the significance of this?
Yeah, that's a very significant, it's an important question, because the Bank of Japan, the bank finances of the private sector projects in Egypt holds deep economic and geopolitical significance in terms of, if I may say, 4 or 5 main dimensions. Dimension number one is diversifying the funding sources. By securing financing from Japan, Egypt reduces dependence on Western institutions like the IMF and the World Bank, balancing therefore our financial portfolio. Number 2, boosting private sector growth, of course, because increased Japanese investment strengthens Egypt's private sector, driving job creation, innovation, and economic diversification. Another parameter is enhancing Egypt-Japan economic partnership by direct Japanese funding, which signals confidence in Egypt's economic stability and reforms, and encouraging further bilateral trade and investment. Point number 4, or parameter number 5, is the technology transfer and industrial development, because Japan's high-tech expertise can enhance Egypt's manufacturing, logistics, and energy sectors, aligning with Egypt's vision of 2030. And last is the regional impact. A strong Egypt-Japan partnership can serve as a model for other African and Middle East nations seeking to attract high-quality foreign investment. In conclusion, overall, Japan's financial support and partnership with Egypt reflect a deep long-term commitment to fostering economic development and mutual strategic interests.
Thank you so much, Dr. Amr, our professor of economics. Thank you so much for being our guest. And the Central Agency for Public Mobilization and Statistics, CAPMAS, said on Saturday that the implementation rate of this integrated water resources management process in Egypt has recorded 63% in 2023, while the average global rate stood at 57% in the same year. The announcement was made by the United Nations Environment Programme based on a survey conducted in collaboration with CAPMAS in 2023. The KAS made the announcement in a coincidence with the World Water Day, which is celebrated on the 22nd of March annually this year under the theme Glacier Preservation. Integrated water management promotes the coordination, development and management of water, land and related resources to maximize economic and social welfare in equitable manner without compromising the sustainability of vital ecosystems. The United Arab Emirates pledged $1.4 trillion in the U.S. over the next decade, marking one of the largest foreign investment commitments in the U.S. history.
The White House said the United Arab Emirates has committed to a 10-year, $1.4 trillion investment framework in the United States after top UAE officials met President Donald Trump this week. The White House said in a statement that the framework will substantially increase the UAE's existing investments in the U.S. economy in AI infrastructure, semiconductors, energy and manufacturing. The White House did not outline how UAE investments would reach $1.4 trillion, with some of the deals unveiled as part of the framework having already been announced. The White House said the UAE agreement resulted from a meeting that Trump held with National Security Advisor Sheikh Tahnoun bin Zayed Al Nahyan, as well as the heads of major UAE sovereign wealth funds and corporations. Among the tie-ups highlighted was a partnership between UAE Sovereign Wealth Fund, ADQ, and U.S. private equity firm Energy Capital Partners for a $25 billion U.S. focused on initiative to invest in energy infrastructure and data centers. The White House said the only fully new deal appeared to be an investment by Emirates Global Aluminum in what would be the first new aluminum smelter in the United States in 35 years.
The European Commission has delayed its plan to propose a new EU climate target in the first quarter of the year, pushing back the launch of an expected commitment to cut emissions by 2040. Earlier, Brussels said it would amend the EU's climate law this quarter, a long-planned move that would set a 2040 target to keep countries on track between their 2030 emissions goal and the bloc's aim for zero net emissions by 2050. However, the proposal has run into political opposition, with some member states and lawmakers reluctant to back the 90% emission cut. The EU, like most countries in the world, has also missed a February deadline to submit a 2035 climate plan to the UN, which the Commission has said should be derived from the EU's 2040 goal. The EU has vowed not to backtrack on its climate change commitments. UK Finance Minister Rachel Reeves said on Sunday that she plans to cut the cost of running government by 15% within 4 years as she grapples with strained public finances. Her comments came ahead of her crucial spring statement on Wednesday, when she's expected to detail billions of pounds of spending cuts across various British government departments.
I said last time I was here.
Rachel Reeves said on Sunday Britain will stick to its fiscal rules despite global upheaval, raising the prospect of thousands of public sector job cuts in this week's budget update, which is likely to include further savings. Last October, in her first full budget, Reeves sought to win the trust of investors by pledging to bring day-to-day spending into balance with tax revenue by the end of the decade. But she is believed to have been knocked off course by slow economic growth and higher borrowing costs. Employers say a tax hike for them will hit hiring, and a potential global trade war triggered by American President Donald Trump's import tariffs has led to downgrades to the international outlook. On Friday, British debt costs jumped after heavy borrowing figures, showing nervousness among investors about the ability of Prime Minister Keir Starmer's government to fix the public finances with the economy stuck in a slow gear. Last week, the government announced cuts to welfare spending to save around £5 billion a year, angering some lawmakers in Starmer's centre-left Labour Party. Reeves said 10,000 public sector jobs could be cut under a plan to lower civil service costs by 15% by the end of the decade and save over £2 billion a year, adding it was not right to keep COVID-era staffing increases. More than 500,000 people work in the civil service. A union leader representing public sector workers accused Reeves of announcing an arbitrary figure which could hurt the public services that Starmer and Reeves promised voters they would improve in last year's election. Reeves is expected to announce further measures in her spring statement on Wednesday to restore her £10 billion of room for manoeuvre to meet her fiscal targets.
And to our sports news, where Egypt moved a step closer to qualifying for the 2026 FIFA World Cup with a 2-0 away victory over Ethiopia during their match in the Moroccan Casablanca Stadium on Friday 21st. The first goal was scored by Mohamed Salah and the second by Ahmed Said Zizou. The win takes Egypt to the top of Group A with 13 points, followed by Burkina Faso and Sierra Leone with 8 points each. The Pharaohs' coming match will be played home against Sierra Leone at Cairo International Stadium on the 25th of March. And Scotland missed this chance to play in Group A of the National League next season after visitors Greece breezed past them 3-0 in their playoff second leg on Sunday for an aggregate 3-1 win. Scotland had a 1-0 lead after the first leg away on Thursday, with Scott McTominay scoring from the penalty spot in the first half after Lazaros Rota committed a foul. That lead slipped away when Giannis Konstantelias latched onto a perfectly placed cross in the 20th minute score. Welshman Elfyn Evans extended his lead to the top of the World Rally Championship with victory at the demanding Safari Rally Kenya on Sunday. The Toyota driver made it back-to-back wins, having won the last round in Sweden, and now, after 3 of the 14 rounds, holds a 36-point lead over defending champion Thierry Neuville in the title race. The two-time champion Kalle Rovanperä in 57 points adrift after being forced to retire on Sunday morning with an electrical issue on his car. The death of George Foreman signaled the end of the golden age of the heavyweight boxing, and the 20-year gap between his 2 world titles is a unique record that will never be broken. WBC President Mauricio Soliman has said the Foreman, who lost his first title to Muhammad Ali in the Rumble in the Jungle in 1974 and then knocked out Michael Moorer for the heavyweight title at the age of 45, died on Friday at the age of 76. Soliman remembered Foreman as a man who defied expectation to reignite his passion for sport, eventually becoming the oldest ever heavyweight champion after a change in his approach to life. Despite returning to the ring following a decade-long hiatus, a noticeably heavier Foreman remained a formidable force, and he retained his thunderous power, flooring stunner Moorer in Las Vegas in November 1994. Sergio Garcia's missed 3-foot putt cost him a spot in the Open Championship. Playing Sunday the final round of the International Series Macau in China, a stop on the Asian Tour, Garcia needed to finish in the top 3 to qualify for the Open at the Royal Portrush, but the miss on the short putt on number 18 at the Macau Golf and the Country Club left him in 4th place. Instead, Garcia fellow live golfer Carlos Ortiz of Mexico, Patrick Reed and Jason Korak captured the 3 spots available for the Open to be held in Northern Ireland on July 17th to 20th. Had Garcia made the putt, he would have tied the Korak and advanced based on the tiebreaker. Well, with that, our dear viewers, we come to the end of our newsroom for tonight. Many thanks for watching.